To you. Hello, Ken. Good morning.
Good morning, Drew. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning. Yeah, we are here at Thank you. Indeed, we are here at Huruma Primary School, where we are expecting that the UDA candidate, Samuel Mushina, will be casting his ballot any moment from now. But at the moment, we are witnessing very long queues on the class, heading to the various streams. This is one of the largest polling stations within Ol Kalou ward, within the Ol Kalou constituency, and therefore we have very long queues. And we are also seeing that this is a very impressive turnout compared maybe to other by-elections where we usually witness voter apathy. But as we can see behind me, we have voters who came to the queues as early as 6 a.m. when the polling stations were opened for voting. We had queues in the various polling stations. Na pengine, allow me just to speak to some of the voters here. Naweza zungumza na wewe, tueleze jina lako na pengine ulifika hapa saa ngapi na unaona foleni inasonga vipi?
Kwa majina naitwa Paul Gathogo, nimetoka Huruma. Nilifika hapa 6 asubuhi. Lakini nikakuta watu ni wengi, laini ni kubwa, tukabidi tu tufuate laini. Lakini security iko mzuri, watu wametulia na watu wanaendelea kufanya uamuzi wao.
Na pengine matarajio yako kulingana na usalama, hali ya usalama ni yapi wakati zoezi linapoendelea?
Hali ya usalama iko mzuri, isipokuwa wameleta askari wengi kuliko wapiga kura. Wameleta askari wengi kuliko wapiga kura. So lakini tunawaambia wacheni na sisi tufanye uchaguzi wetu na tufanye uamuzi wetu venye tunataka sisi wenyewe. Watupea amani, walinde sisi, lakini wagoje tufanye kenye tuleta hapa.
Shukran sana. Niweze kuzungumza na mama hapa. Tueleze jina lako na pengine ulifika hapa saa ngapi na pengine ni kipi kilikufanya ufike mapema hivyo?
Mimi naitwa Monica Wajiro. Hapa ni kwetu Ol Kalou. Nakuja kupiga kura asubuhi na mapema. 6:30 nilikuwa hapa nipige kura kwa sababu nataka kutenganisha na kuona na watu waone vile tunataka na vile tunastahili.
Pengine matarajio yako kutoka kwa kiongozi ambaye mtakuwa mkichagua ni yapi?
Tunataka kuchagua mtu anaweza kutusaidia kwa masomo, kwa hospitali na maendeleo mengine ya barabara na baka sitima na maji.
Shukran sana. Niweze kupata sauti hata ya kijana hapa. Tunaona kuna wazee na pia vijana wamejitokeza. Tueleze maoni yako kuhusu zoezi hili nzima, unaona likiendelea vipi?
Zoezi ilianza vizuri asubuhi, lakini hadi saa hii hatuoni mabaya, ni venye tu laini haisongi. Hakuna, kulingana na maoni yangu, hakuna a very good preparation. Juu sisi tumekaa hapa saa hii ni kama dakika kama 50, tuko tu hapo hatusongi, laini haisongi.
Na pengine ni kwa nini watu wamejitokeza kwa idadi kubwa hivi? Pengine ni kipi ambacho kinafanya waweze kujitokeza kwa idadi hii?
Ni change. Ol Kalou inataka change. Kulingana na mwenye alikuwa nyuma, hatukuwa tunaona maendeleo. Sasa saa hii tumejitokeza wengi hivi, ndio at least tuchague mwenye atatuletea maendeleo Ol Kalou. Ol Kalou imekuwa nyuma sana. Ukiangalia counties zote, Ol Kalou ndio constituencies zote. Ol Kalou ni constituency moja yenye haina hata university. Sasa juzi ndio tunaletewa university like Nyandarua County, ndio wakati huu ndio tunakuwa na university moja. Ukiangalia Ol Kalou iko nyuma.
Shukran sana. Nipate maoni ya mwingine hapa. Tueleze jina lako, ulifika saa ngapi na pengine ni kipi kinakufanya ufike hapa mapema namna hiyo?
Kwa majina naitwa Wycliffe Aumondong. Mimi ni mkaaji wa Ol Kalou na niliamka mapema kabisa saa 11 Saa 11 ilinipata kwa gate tukiongoja wale wa IBC ili wakuje to vote pamoja. Na kutoka niingie, hii line imekuwa mrefu sana, hatusongi. Watu wamejitokeza kwa wingi kabisa ili wachague serikali yenye itatusaidia kimaisha. Maisha imepanda na kila kitu imepanda. Sasa sisi wengine wamekosa majira, wengine wamekosa chakula, lakini tumejitokeza ili tuchague serikali ambayo itatujali sisi kama wananchi.
Kuna wale bado wako nyumbani, pengine ungeweza kuambia vipi wale ambao hawajaweza kufika hapa hadi sasa?
Ningependa kuwasia kwamba wajitokeze kwa wingi. Line bado iko na time bado iko. Tumepewa nafasi mzuri sana, hadi ma securities tulimwagiwa hapa kutoka jana, na tunafurahia. Hakuna tatizo yoyote ama makelele baadhi ya kukua na matatizo hapa na pale. Wenye wajitokeze, bado nafasi iko, wakuje.
Shukran sana. Niweze kupata sauti ya mama. Tuanze na jina lako, tueleze unatoka eneo lipi na pia mbona umefika hapa mapema hivi?
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Maureen Hisa. Mimi ni mkaaji wa Ol Kalou. Nimejitokeza mapema kuja kupiga kura.
Na ni kipi kimekufanya uweze ukafika hapa mapema namna hii?
Nimekuja mapema kwa sababu ya kumchagua mwenye atatusaidia kimaisha. Maisha imepanda, uchumi iko juu, watoto hawaendi shule baba, tumeshindwa karo.
Wewe kama mama, pengine ni maeneo gani ama ni sekta zipi ambazo unaona kwamba mbunge atakayechaguliwa anafaa kushughulikia kwa dharura baada tu ya kuapishwa kwa mbunge wa eneo hili?
Kwa upande wa kina mama, inafaa saidia kina mama, atufungulie vikao, kama atufungulie vibanda za kazi, atupee pesa za kazi. Kama wamama atusaidie, hata sisi wamama tujishikilie. Wamama tunahaso, tunakufulia watu manguo, kuoshea watu vyombo, ndio tupate pesa karo za kupeleka watoto shule.
Shukran sana. Those are the views of just a few voters who are on the queues here. Most of them arrived here as early as 5 a.m. and by the time the polling stations were being opened at 6 a.m. the official time, there were already many people on the queues who were ready to just cast their votes and maybe go back to their normal daily business. And at this polling station, we are expecting that Mr. Samuel Mushina, the UDA candidate, shall be coming in any minute to cast his vote. And after that, we shall be following up with any other area. Naona mzee hapa.
That's right. So what we'll do, Ken, Gashohe, thank you very much for those comments. As we come into, we'll be able to come back to you later on to then be able to get an update in terms of what's happening in Ol Kalou. We can see that the folks are out and folks are voting this morning, and people keep coming in, and we'll be able to get an update. Ken Gashohe is our reporter, and he is at the Huruma Secondary School, and that's one of the largest polling centers in Ol Kalou this morning. Polling stations, rather, as people then start to cast their vote. And then back here in studio, we continue our conversation around Ol Kalou decides on governance and lessons. And to be able to guide that conversation with us this morning is Chepkoech Towet, who is a governance analyst, and she joins us for the first time in the Situation Room. Good morning.
Good morning, Du.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
Well, thank you. Karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's a different kind of day. And for all intents and purposes, maybe it shouldn't be, but I guess those are some of the things that we'll be talking about today. But before we do that, as we normally do, we'd love to hear your interpretation of the proverb that Dennis will share.
All right.
Our proverb today comes from Libya, a beautiful country, rich in resources, especially petroleum products. They have what they call sweet crude, and sweet crude it takes a shorter time to process before you get the finished product that we use in our vehicles, in our jets today. Now, the proverb is, a thief is a thief, whether he steals meat from a pot of soup or he steals diamonds. How would you interpret it?
Now, there is another colloquial term, mtaani. Mwizi hapendi kuibiwa. And so a thief is a thief. And I remember this when in the 2022 elections, and there's a section of Kenyans who kept saying, "Huyu mwizi ni nani? Ni wetu." And now when the thief comes and they start to steal from you, you should not complain. Because anyway, we have said a thief is a thief. Yeah. So whether they steal diamonds, they steal meat from a pot, at the end of the day, a thief is a thief. And choices have consequences.
Well said. Well said.
They do. The crowds that we see at Ol Kalou this morning are the folks who are coming out to vote, who are going to activate their democratic rights to make a decision about who a leader will be. But beyond that, they seem to be making a decision on governance and leadership. Listen to the things that people said as we took that bite from our reporter. And they said, the overall thing is that we just want life to be a little bit better. We want change. We want the development that they have told us would be here over time has never happened. And so that goes directly to governance issues. They may call it tunataka ya kuosha nguo na kukaa vizuri kwa nyumba na chakula ya kukula, but they're saying governance. That's what they're saying. Is the message reaching home?
No. There's what the people want, and there's what is being delivered. When you look at what people say, they're talking about economic issues. They are talking about, the burden of being a Kenyan today, the burden of the economy today. But again, this election today in Laikipia, in Nyandarua, unfortunately, will not be about policy, will not be about agriculture in Nyandarua, will not be about education in Nyandarua, will not be about the roads in Nyandarua. It is about a supremacy battle of two individuals who have decided that they will show their might and power today in Ol Kalou, because, again, as we know, whoever emerges the winner today will then dictate what happens in the mountain. So, unfortunately, the issues will not be spoken to in Ol Kalou today. That is not what the candidates or whoever is behind the candidates want to deliver. Unfortunately, the people of Ol Kalou are not at the center of the conversation. It's about the vote. Yes.
And you see, it is a sad place to be in, because since morning when we are talking to residents of Ol Kalou who are queuing right now, there's an old lady who said, an elderly lady, I beg your pardon, who said, President wetu, tunaomba watu wasitupige, sisi ni watu wa amani. That gentleman has said, we are voting in for a person who will come to bring in change, because the previous guy never delivered. There is what the people are saying, but that is being ignored, and intentionally so. So one then asks the question, as the people of Ol Kalou today are going to vote with hope that whoever comes in is able to change their life, how do we reconcile that with the two honchos, who for them is a supremacy battle? How do they reconcile with the fact that beyond whoever will control the mountain, this is what the people of Ol Kalou want? Or does that just doesn't matter to them?
In the last about 3 election cycles, I think that is from 2013, what we have seen come in as presidents or members of parliament or even senate and governors, none of them has been about what people want. There's what people will campaign for during the campaign trail with their manifestos and the platforms and what they will promise to the people. But unfortunately, we are yet to see anyone actually deliver on what it is they say they will deliver to Kenyans. That story will continue to play out in Ol Kalou today. We have seen it in Emurwadikir, we saw it in Bere. I think recently we saw it in Bere saying that there are lights that had been put or they had been promised and suddenly there was darkness. That goes to show that we deliver for what we want then. It is a short-term promise. It is I give you something that entices you to get back what I want. Once I get back what I want, you are on your own. Unfortunately, Kenyans have been on their own for a long time. We have been on our own since 2013. If you follow all the manifestos that were given by the different presidential candidates who've come successfully, none of them has delivered for Kenyans. So what makes you think that Ol Kalou residents will get what actually they want today? Does that, from the precedents that we have seen, from the history, does that give you hope that the people of Ol Kalou will get what they want?
But nobody's listening to them, Chep. Nobody's listening to them. And if this morning is anything to go by, then they probably have been saying this, but nobody has been listening to what they are saying. If we look at the geography of where this place is, and if we look at what they've told us, what do they have in terms of what they can do? This is a town that's nestled within a county that receives development funds, that receives capitation for schools, at least at the ECD level, and even beyond that, what they've been saying has not translated into what governance ought to deliver. And I dare say that it is not the only place in Kenya where you will find an example of such. So how then do you essentially deliver the people from that? And that's the governance that we are talking about.
It is a good question, and it is a discussion that we should have as Kenyans. Unfortunately, when it comes to governance, we have allowed ourselves to be boxed into the thinking of one term and two term. Why do I say that? If we remove the personalities from the politics, then it means we have a chance to discuss exactly what the people want and to listen to the people, as you're saying. Because the unfortunate part is that people are talking, but no one is listening. So how are we going to listen to the people? We have to remove the personalities from the politics if we are to make headway in terms of policy and in terms of development and delivery for the people. Because once you bring the personalities and the bloodlines into politics, then the issues are diluted. But the issues will always remain. When we talk about education and capitation fund, like you said, we always see the issues come into the even national politics away from the constituency. But nobody listens because we have made our politics about personality. It is about time that Kenyans sat down. And this is a good test for 2027. In fact, this is the litmus test for 2027. We are hoping that there will be no other by-election, but that is why both parties are putting in the might to show that, you know what, we can do this, to spend all the money that they need to spend. But are they listening to the people? So it is about time that as Kenyans, we use this as a litmus test to say, you know what, remove the names from the politics. This is what we want. And if you're not listening, we are sending you home. Because I think we have forgotten the power of this. What I have with me for the audio listeners is a vote. What we have forgotten is the power of the vote. We have forgotten how this vote works. We have forgotten that this is delegated power to these people, to the leadership. And so if they don't listen, what happens? We send them home. And we bring someone who listens, someone who will discuss the issues. We call Nyandarua we call Nyandarua constituency town ya cash crop za Nyandarua, potatoes. What happens to these potatoes? What is the value chain of these potatoes? What is the end product of these potatoes? Could this have been a policy for a candidate who was vying to say, listen, when I come in, these our potatoes, what can we do to add value to it? So then you will have the farmers listening to you. But is anyone talking about that? We have narrowed the politics into politics of personalities, and it is unfortunate for Kenyans. And that is where we were boxed into the one-term and two-term conversation. When you scale it up to the national conversation, nobody is talking about what Kenyans want. Everybody is saying either or. But what about the will of the Kenyans?
You know, Chukwash, in this by-election and even the campaign period, I've actually just thought about it, that we've not even for once heard about the agenda that even the candidates are selling.
No, nobody has.
Nobody has.
Nobody has.
What we've had mostly is it's two-term, it's one-term. It is DCP versus UDA. That's all we've had. We've not had about the agenda of these individuals and what they want to do for the people.
Unfortunately.
And sadly, is that even the people of Ol Kalou themselves have not demanded that these conversations be held. Goes to speak about even us as wananchi and shaping the agenda of what it is we want. Because the people of Ol Kalou would have said, hey, excuse me, it is DCP, it is UDA, but beyond all that, this is what we want. What's your plan? So how do we re-engineer this for that vote to make sense and for that vote to form the agenda?
It is good that we are now realizing, albeit too late, that nobody talked about the agenda in Ol Kalou. Because it is good because it is timely for the national conversation. That we have to set a different agenda beyond the personalities. The agenda is set either by the people, and it is fortunate that the media, the fourth estate, is part of the people who set that agenda. So then, like you said, how do we re-engineer the conversation? We need to put away the personalities, because at the end of the day, beyond today, 5 p.m., and when the elections will be announced, and when the winner will be announced in Ol Kalou, the residents of Ol Kalou will remain with their problems. Whoever wins will come to parliament to join their cronies and advance their agenda. But the problems of Ol Kalou will remain with the people of Ol Kalou unless they hold their leader responsible enough to say that, you know what, we sent you there for a reason, then wanabaki na shida zao. So that should be a reminder to Kenyans that beyond 2027, if we do not rethink how we have these conversations about who we are electing, we will remain with our problems, if not anything worse than the current problems we have now. So we need to start changing mindset to say, what do we want? What do we want as Kenyans? Because beyond Rigiji, beyond the president, beyond any other candidate that will come forth, if we don't think about our problems, tutabaki na mashida mingi kuliko zile tuko nazo.
Chep, you know, when you look at election cycles, right, there is, or rather how I look at it is, Kenyans know that every 5 years we go to vote. But to vote for what is what Kenyans have never really decided. Because beyond the casting of vote and winners being announced, there is never the conversation of, we need you to come back home so that we hold you accountable. Us, tunapiga kura na tunaishia. Then after 5 years, we'll come back and vote again, depending on what wave is there. As wananchi, finally, in 2027, people have to be jealous for their constituency, their wards on what it is they want to be done. And they demand that, Nakuru East, and Nakuru East, tuache sisi watu wa Ol Kalou to decide what it is we want. Is that a clever way? Is that a new way of looking at things?
We have to find new ways to ensure that our vote matters. It is only a mad person who will keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We have been doing the same thing and expecting change. It is time that we come back to ourselves and ask, this that we have been doing has not worked for the last whatever many election cycles. So how do we want this to work? What is this that we want to work? If we are truly talking about changing my constituency, changing my ward, changing my country, what is this change that I want to see? When I talk about my ward, I come from Langata constituency, Mugumoini ward. What is this that I want to see in Mugumoini ward change? The people who've put their bid forward, are they speaking to that conversation? Are they speaking to that change that I want to see? If they are not, you're out. Because when you see, it is like a conman. When a conman wants something from you, they don't give you time to think. And that is what has happened in Ol Kalou. That's why the issues have not been spoken to. A conman, hata akikupigia simu, they don't give you time to think. It is one thing, did you check your phone, change your PIN, I'm calling from where? So by the time you realize what's going on, it's too late. They've either stolen from you or whatever has happened has happened. But if someone is genuine, they come, they put forth their bid and say, this is my track record, this is what I want to do. I have gone around the world and I have had your issues, this is what I want to fix, this is what I want to change together. And in leadership, there has to be a conversation. In governance, there has to be a conversation. Where I speak, you listen, we do together. But you cannot always be speaking to me and speaking at me and speaking down, to me. That is what has been happening with leaders, unfortunately, to Kenyans. Nobody gives the citizenry the respect they deserve enough to hear and listen to what they want and deliver for that. Unfortunately, again, on our side, the citizenry, we do not track some of those promises that are given to us. Yeah. We don't even know the track record of people who come to ask for this vote. You asked me about a thief and the proverb at the beginning, and I am talking about all levels of leadership here. Yeah. Nobody says, wait a minute, who is this guy? Is he going to deliver for us? Who is this lady? Are they going to deliver for us? So if we are to re-engineer how things are going to happen in 2027, the conversation has to be as local as where you come from. They say all politics is local. But when you have big personalities overriding the conversation and overriding the issues, then the issues will get lost in those personalities. So we have to sit with a leadership that listens, but also elect people who listen. But beyond the electing, we have to track how do we track the manifestos and the promises that are made to us as Kenyans? Because we should have, in any other corporate situation, or even, it's just politics that there's madness. But in any other same industry, people come back and have annual meetings to say, this is what I said, this is the far that we've come, this is what we've delivered, this is where the challenges are. It is only in Kenya where someone will come to ask for a vote, and you will only see them 4.5 years later.
True.
Okay, let's take a break on this and then come back. And because re-engineering this politics or re-engineering this leadership or governance decisions that we make, I think is extremely important. And then to ask the question that whether we really feel as though Kenyans are finally divorcing themselves from the tokenism that is political at this point and saying, we're done with this. We may take it, but we're actually going to apply thought when it comes to selecting our next leaders. We continue with this conversation. Ol Kalou decides today, and perhaps it's a point of return where you can say people are making decisions based on not what they are given, but what innately they know needs to change. We'll be back after this.
I'm ready for the outcome because I know I'm winning. I'm ready for it.
What if you lose?
I'm ready. The people of Ol Kalou will talk at the ballot. Just wait in the evening. What the people decide is what we'll do for.
Thank you.
To start your day is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Politicians could come and, make fun about town and give people things, and they would go home knowing that because I delivered 1, 2, 3, that I am guaranteed of that vote. Perhaps things are looking a little bit different. Have the electorate of the country, from where you see, matured politically to the point whereby you can say, you know what, that it is when somebody comes bearing gifts, you can see through and you know that this is the real situation. That whether you got a gas cylinder, whether you got a mattress, whether you got whatever it was, that it has remained clear to you that these things could have been done earlier, but they were not. So that person then cannot be your choice moving forward. Do you think that people have matured to that point?
Yes and no. Yes, because when we see counties like Nyandarua, specifically Ol Kalou, on the spotlight, then we can see that there's a section who will say, tutakula pesa lakini kura tutakupa. But also, when you sit with people and you have conversations, because again, our politics is based on populism, politics of populism and personalities, we go back to, we almost retreat to our cocoons of mtu wetu. But with a spotlight of Ol Kalou, we saw people say, you know what, that candidate, I think of DCP, beyond what he had or didn't have, this was our choice when the party primaries were going on. But can we sustain this conversation and replicate it to the 290 constituencies and the over 1,000 wards that we have? Yes, we can. But also it depends on how we drive the conversation. It depends on if we bring out the issues to the conversation. Because beyond the money, then I will think, then what? But as long as the money is the center of the conversation, it is easy for bribery, voter bribery, to take precedence. But when we say it is beyond the person, and now we are talking about the issues and the policies, it is easy to re-engineer that conversation and ensure that hata ukija na pesa yako, nobody is going to vote for you. But for as long as we continue having the politics of personalities, then we cannot change this issue because the personality will align themselves with whatever coalition is leading. And as we always know, we've had a 2-horse race. I don't know where that came from. We've never had alternative leadership, because this moment in Ol Kalou was a moment for a leader to take up the issues and come out as an alternative leader. But we didn't. So for as long as we keep having the conversation of a 2-race horse, which we are seeing going on, then we will align with the horse that has a lot of money and come to the ground with the money. But for as long as we can put issues at the center of the conversation, then we can easily move away from voter bribery.
At what point do issues get lost to Kenyans? Because today, Chef, if you speak to Kenyans out there, anybody, even if you just get into a taxi, ukoaje, nangangana, kwa nini, uchumi ni mbaya, shule, healthcare, everything. You'll have these conversations with Kenyans and you understand where their heart is at, what it is they're thinking about. But gets to the election day and everything we've complained about for 4 years, we forget, we go back to our people. Afadhali huyu mwizi wetu mwenye tunajua, because others, anyway, when they get there, we allow them to eat, provided they bring some crumbs to us. At what point does it get lost to us as wananchi that we've complained for quite a long time that it's our time to change, but mlolongo ni ule ule?
It is good you asked that question. I recently had a conversation where, by the time we are making the decision to vote, the choice has already been made for us. Why and how? Political parties make the choice for us. By the time we are talking about the candidate of DCP, the candidate of UDA, the candidate of Jubilee, that choice was made at the party primary. We are just making the final decision. Why am I saying this? We will talk about the issues, but because of how our politics is structured, we are likely to retreat to our tribal cocoons. Our political parties are made up of tribes and personalities. They are not made up of agendas. And so, when the time comes, when the rubber meets the road, what do? We retreat to what is familiar, unfortunately. Again, Kenyans are not part of political parties. So we are not part of the choice that is made for us at the onset of the politics. We come in too late as Kenyans to choose what has been made, to make a choice of what political parties have already chosen for us. Okay. So kama walituchagulia mwizi, tuko na wezi watatu. So we only have to decide between. So
it's like when you're in a like a buffet setting. Yeah. You don't have a choice.
No.
What is on the buffet
is what
you will serve. However, what we are saying here is that if Kenyans were in the kitchen saying that today we will have the beef stew, chicken stew, we don't like the fish stew because it could go bad somewhere down the line, this is what we are going to pick, this is what will be on the table, then now you have a say. You don't have a say when it's already been served.
No. No. Because think about it. What would make a Kenyan say, Uyu tunachagua mwizi wetu? It's because how many thieves were brought forward? You had 3. So like you said, you have to pick the lesser evil. But if we are at the onset of the conversation, at the party primaries to say, huyu hatutaki hata kumwona kwa ballot.
Yes.
It means we have a chance as Kenyans.
So what does that mean? That Kenyans have to join political parties?
If that is what it takes for us to change this conversation and for us to change the choices that are given to us at the end, which is at the ballot, then clearly we have to do something.
We also then run roughshod with the problem. Because political parties, by and large, are not doing what they were originally intended to do. That political parties are used as individualistic vehicles to pursue a particular agenda. And then somewhere along the line, we bring people in and say, okay, we need to have numbers. As opposed to saying, these are our ideology that we stick with, and we say that ours is the economy. We will sing, eat, sleep, drink, wake up in the middle of the night saying economy. That's how you know, okay, these guys. So anybody who knows that the economy is the panacea, sorting out the economy is the panacea to all our problems, they join the party. Then you can say, within the party, we have seen Chepkoech knows that this is how to get things done. Let's give her this position. Dennis knows, then we give them that position. How do we re-engineer, I like that word, even the idea of political parties to then say, come on, guys, it cannot be one guy in his living room one day who says, you know what, I want to be a governor, so let me form a little political party. How do we change this thing?
I I like this conversation today because we are going back to the roots and decide and just letting our fellow Kenyans rethink of how we are going to do things. Again, our political parties have never been made up of ideology. If we look even at our president, he has never used the same vehicle to vie for any election. Since URP to Jubilee to UDA, and now we don't know if there will be a coalition, to Kenya Kwanza, to we don't know how if there will be a coalition in 2027. What am I saying? Anytime you keep changing vehicles, it is difficult to hold you accountable. And we change vehicles because we know the atrocities we have committed. And so I cannot come back with this vehicle because it has baggage. If I come back with it, it means you people will question me on you didn't do X, Y, Z. So what do I do? Change outfit. Again, our Office of Registrar of Political Parties need to rethink of how we are registering these political parties. We have about 100 parties. You tell me why we need 100 parties. Yes, I know it is a democratic space, but in mature democracies, like you said, parties are known for something.
Stand for something. Yeah.
They stand for something. If we take the US, Republican and Democrats, they are known, it is clear-cut that you're either on the left, on the right, extreme left, extreme right. That is inconsequential. But here in Kenya, if you are to ask Party X, what is your ideology? Even those who hold party positions have no clue what they stand for.
True.
They know that I followed this party because of person X.
Or because Chapwech looked at me wrongly last month.
And so, So we have to go back to the basics as Kenyans and rethink our politics in totality. Re-engineer our politics in totality. It might be too late for 2027, but it is giving us a chance to finally think, okay, this is not what we want. We are too late to the conversation. Like in 2032, you people will find us looking.
Yeah. Chap, even as we re-engineer these political parties, right? I am equally looking at the kind of people that we end up voting. Mwizi ni afadhali kushinda yule mwingine. Why? Because there are loopholes within the law that people take advantage of, right? So you're serving time in jail, but because you can appeal, you are innocent until proven guilty, even when another court found you already guilty. But you can still run, right? But you're looking at political parties as vehicles within which give us individuals who can run, because political parties have room to have their own political party constitutions that determines the kind of people that they give to Kenyans. That means the vetting process at the political party level is lacking. It is missing the point because it is upon them and individuals that they give these certificates, party tickets, that we end up with lesser evil than the other. So if political parties stood firm on business and said we will only have clean individuals who can deliver as our members, as people that we give the party ticket, would that help in changing the situation?
Yes, it would help. But again, politics is about interest. I like how you anticipated the bat. Politics is about interest, unfortunately. Political parties' formation and putting forward of candidates, their end goal is to win the seat. And so, by hook or crook, they will want to win that seat.
Okay.
Chapter 6 of the Constitution of this country is just that. It is just Chapter 6. Nobody cares. We know it as it exists in the Constitution.
Right.
Nobody practices.
You know what I want to do, Chep, now is that we're going to cross over to Ol Kalou again, because the Central Regional Commissioner, Joshua Nkanatha, wants to brief the press right now about what's going on. So we're going to patch into that and hear what he has to say and then come back and continue with this.
Vituo zote zile INPC wanafanya shughuli zao za kupigisha kura. Walituomba pia sisi tukapeana askari. Nafikiria kila kitu iko na askari wawili wa kusimamia kila stream, na so far so good. Mahali wananchi watakuwa na tatizo, tunataka kuomba wa report chochote kile waona akiwafurahishi katika kituo cha polisi kile kiko karibu na wao, ama kwa wale askari wako karibu wale mahali wako. Thank you.
Kuna kisa ambacho mwaniaji mmoja ambaye amepiga kura hapa anasema kilifanyika hapo jana, pengine uchunguzi ama nini, hatua gani ambazo mnachukua? Anasema kwamba kuna gari liliteketezwa likipeleka agents wake mahali.
Sisi kusema ukweli, hakuna ripoti kama vitengo vya usalama tumepokea kuhusiana na kisa kama hicho, lakini kama litakuwa limeripotiwa katika vituo vyetu vya polisi, tutafanya uchunguzi. Na tunaomba, kwa sababu tunasikia kuna wale hata wanaenda wakiwa hawana number plate kwa magari zao. Kila mtu ajue ni hatia kuendesha gari ambalo halina number plate, na maafisa wetu wa usalama wakipata gari halina number plate, basi hilo gari litashikwa na kupelekwa station.
Mara nyingi wale wanasiasa ambao huwa wanakuja katika zoezi kama hili kutoka maeneo mengine, siku kama ya leo, ndio huwa wanahusishwa na kusababisha vurugu. Pengine ujumbe wako kwao ni
tunasema hasa polling station yaachiwe tu wale maafisa wa IEBC na wale wapiga kura na askari wale wako na kazi pale. Wageni wowote wale wengine wasipatikane katika range ya 400 meters wenyeji. Lakini kama kuna mtu ambaye amekuja kwa nia ya kuvuruga uchaguzi, huyo tutapambana naye tu. Tuko hapa kwa sababu ya hiyo tu.
Bwana RC, maybe tuzungumzia kuhusu barabara zile ambazo zinaingia Ol Kalou. Kulikuwa na wale wanahisi kwa pengine barabara zingine zimefungwa. Tueleze tu hiyo usalama ambao mmeweka kwa zile entry points za Ol Kalou constituency.
Hakuna barabara tumefunga hata moja. Na ndio hata wewe Bridget nikuuliza, si umefika hapa? Na mimi nimefika hapa kutoka Nyeri. So sijaona road block, sijaona barabara imefungwa na mtu, hata checkpoint. Kama kutakuwa na haja, labda tutaangalia, lakini so far hakuna mahali tumefunga barabara. Yes.
Na labda tu kuna swali ambalo watu walikuwa wanajiuliza jana kwamba idadi ya polisi pengine ni mingi kupita kiasi huku na huenda ikawatishia wapigaji kura kujitokeza. Je, wasema lipi kuhusu hilo?
Sioni kama inaweza kuwa ni tisho, kwa sababu tumepanga askari kulingana na ile idadi askari wameombwa na IEBC. Requirement ya IEBC ndio imetufanya tukajua ni wangapi tutapeana. So na kama ukizunguka hii town ama kwingine, ni mahali gani umesikia askari wamekosi vurugu? Hakuna. So askari ni wa kuhakikisha usalama. Unaona hata wale tuko nao wachache wanatangamana na wananchi, hawana shinda. So wasiogope, wananchi wasiogope, wajue askari ndio usalama yao.
So we know from Ramogi TV a few minutes ago, the deputy party leader of DCP, Cleopas Malala, claimed that they've seen several unmarked cars by the police officers, and he claimed that this can be a ploy, perhaps to interfere with the election. What's your take on it?
To us, the security agencies, I think from the onset it should be known that, or remembered that anyone who is driving an unmarked car is committing an offense. So we as the police department, there is no one who is driving an unmarked car. If it is the DCI, they have their number plate. It is the police, even my own car, it has got number plate. So I don't know who this other person is who is driving unmarked cars. And those are the people we are saying we are going to deal with them.
Okay, maybe yes. RC, my name is Emmanuel from Citizen TV. How many police officers have been deployed who are in civilian attire, number one? Number two, we know those who are manning police stations and even the tallying center. Where are the rest of the police officers? Because there should be about 700 or so.
I can assure you that we have deployed the required number, not more than the required number. We have an adequate number to deal with any eventuality, but I cannot give you the number. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, in civilian?
In civilian.
Have you deployed officers who are in civilian?
Definitely, the DCI officers are here with us. And they normally put on in civilian clothing. So we can't say that we don't have officers in civilian. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Maybe a comment from
vile Bwana RC ameongea, tushaweka officers wa kutosha wa kuangalia doria. Polisi wale wako hapa ni marafiki wa wananchi. Ndio maana unaona ukiangalia kamera zenu ukilenga huko na pale, unaona wananchi wana kutana na polisi wakiwa wanaongea. Tunataka kuhakikishia kwamba usalama huko wa kutosha. Wasiwe na wasiwasi. Ule hajapiga kura, aje apige kura. Kama kuna tatizo lolote, aeleze ofisa wowote wa polisi ambaye ako karibu naye ili aweze kusaidiwa. Otherwise, tangu asubuhi ianze hatujakuwa na tatizo kubwa lolote. Voting inaendelea vizuri na tunashukuru wananchi pia sababu wengi wao baada ya kupiga kura wanaenda nyumbani. Sorry? Oh, kwa majina naitwa Geoffrey Mayek. Mimi ni Regional Police Commander wetu wa Central hapa.
The UDA candidate Samuel Mushin has said that they've witnessed some instances of voter bribery. Has it come to your attention?
Bado hatujapata ripoti yoyote kamili ama hatujakamata mtu yoyote kamili ambaye anahusika na hiyo, lakini wakati tulipata ripoti kama hiyo tukaeleza kitengo cha upelelezi CID waende chini wajaribu kutafuta ni nini imeendelea.
Thank you.
Okay, so of course those are that's a briefing that has come out of Ol Kalou this morning with the regional police commander as well as the county commissioner. Look, it's interesting because there's certain things that have been said, which we're going to get into the next hour conversation as well with you, Chep. But there seems to be calm and everything seems to be okay. So then the question is, if that's the case, do we see the heavy deployment of folks who've come into Ol Kalou as an element of control or presence?
It is interesting because I think for the first time that ratio for UN, how many police to civilians,
Yes.
it is only Ol Kalou that has met it today. But the question is, as we saw the police trucks heading to Ol Kalou, the question is, are we securing the will of the people or are we subverting the will of the people and suppressing the voice? Because as we know, sometimes heavy police presence, there's police presence, then there's what is happening in Ol Kalou. Heavy police presence might deter the voters from going to the polling stations. And traditionally, that will then that will speak to the voter turnout. So if there is low voter turnout, then whichever divide will use it to accuse the other divide, without remembering that this voter might have felt uncomfortable going to vote because of the heavy police presence. So are we securing the will of the people or are we subverting the will of the people? And when you bring heavy police presence, for example, into a constituency like that, what are you saying as a government? That don't you trust that you have submitted your manifesto to the people and so they are going to vote for you? Or what is it beyond the police presence? Because it will beg the question of why do we have so much police there? Like you have said, we have seen even the campaign so far has been, calm until maybe a few days ago where we saw Kanini Kega say, his car was attacked and vandalized and stuff. But before then, it has been a calm campaign.
Right.
So why can't we let the people just decide to go to the polling station? And as we know, you go, you vote, and you go home. So what is this that the police is coming to
do? It's interesting because that forms a bedrock for the next conversation that we have in the next hour when Eric Okayo joins us, as well as to continue to look into what this governance actually means. Because there's the point. If you allow people just to go and vote as they are doing and go home, then why do you need the presence? Dennis Aseto has gone off to KTN to continue coverage of Ol Kalou on that side of things. Our conversations continue. Good morning, 9 a.m.